What do you look in mutual funds when you compare? What are the parameters that you would say that, these are the 2 or 3 top things that you need to look at?
My litmus test is very simple. If in COVID time you bought, you are risk taker.
Right.
If in COVID time you sold, you are conservative. If you come to me, I'll say that you put 10 lakh rupee in multi-asset allocation fund. Other than your parents, no one else is interested in your well-being.
Hi friends, a lot of you might be investing in mutual funds today so that tomorrow you can make some good returns and you can fulfill your long-term dreams. For example, by 2030 you might want to settle down, have a nice house. By 2040 you want to send your kids to foreign universities. By 2045 you might want to retire from your jobs or career and sit somewhere on a nice sunny beach and might be sipping, let's say, pina colada or whatever drinks you prefer. Now, it's very important for us to get our long-term mutual fund strategy absolutely nailed down, right? And for this, today I'm having a conversation with one and only Managing Director of Kotak AMC, Mr. Nilesh Shah. Thank you so much, Nilesh ji, giving your time. I'm extremely thankful. Sir, I wanted to start with, from a mutual fund perspective, if I want to generate good returns over a long period of time, it goes without saying that Indian economy must do well. And current forecast is that we're likely to grow at 6 to 7% from a GDP perspective. What is your confidence level? What would you say to mutual fund investors that, India is a long-term story and we would like to sustain this growth over a 10, 15, 20 years of time period?
So Rahul, thank you for having me over here. There are 2 parts to your question. Ek, how India growth story will pan, and second, how investors will benefit out of it. If we look at India growth story, there is Triveni Sangam happening.
Mm-hmm.
One talent of India is now staying back in India. They are becoming entrepreneurs, businessmen, scientists, government servants. Second, we are backing this talent with infrastructure build-up.
Mm-hmm.
Roads have been built, power have been added, airports have been built, metro is being built. We are leveraging our waterways. And most importantly, we are willing to provide capital to our entrepreneurs. IPO market, have venture capital, private equity. There are so many options available today for someone to raise capital.
Right.
Growth has happened whenever talent meets capital and is supported by infrastructure.
Right.
Now, if we believe that government of India is going to create growth, तो वो गलत बात होगी.
Mm-hmm.
It is the 144 crore Indians which will create the growth.
Right.
Some of us will become employees, some of us will become businessmen, some of us will become government servant. Collectively, all these people coming together and working towards Viksit Bharat will create Viksit Bharat.
Right.
Now, as an investor, how do you benefit out of it?
Mm-hmm.
Chalo, mutual fund will provide a vehicle. But अगर आप ट्रेन में बैठे और बीच रास्ते उतर गए तो मंजिल पे तो कभी पहुंचोगे ही नहीं.
Absolutely.
Same thing happens in mutual fund, where a fund return and investor return is not the same thing, because many a times investors get out of the train before it reaches their destination.
Right. So it's important that we remain invested. We show our continued confidence in the Indian economy.
Absolutely.
So linked to this question then, I don't know whether you would like to answer it or not, but I would still ask. From a long-term perspective, let's say 2040, so we're 15 years away, what sort of growth we could see in our broad indexes like Nifty or Sensex? I know 6 to 7% real GDP growth, 2-3% nominal if you add. Could you add some bit more on top of that?
So again, Rahul, these are all guesses.
Of course.
And the thumb rule is that your corporate profit growth will be equivalent to your returns.
Right.
Over a long period of time, if Sensex Nifty has delivered around 15-16% return, that's because in that intervening period, corporate India's profitability grew at 15-16% compounded.
Right.
Now, normally, corporate India's profitability growth is linked to nominal GDP growth of the country. So my feeling is that returns will vary in phases. It will be linked to corporate earnings growth. And from here till, let's say, 2047, we should be somewhere in high single digit to low double digit.
Right.
Now, I will still say the most important thing is not the fund return, but your return in the fund. If you keep on jumping from one place to another place, you are unlikely to optimize your return.
Right.
If you give time, if you withstand volatility, stay invested for longer period of time, you are likely to generate return.
Right. Okay, brilliant. Thank you for that. So this is about Indian economy, and let's now move to, cross the Atlantic and go to United States. A lot has been talked about United States economy as of now, and we all know their debt is crossing $37 trillion, much higher than their GDP. Debt to GDP is gone and crossed 120% and whatnot. India is literally at 56%, 57%. We are at a much better, space. So from a US economy perspective, what is your view? Does the debt worry you from an investor's perspective, or do you think that should be managed somehow?
So एक हिंदी फिल्म का डायलॉग है, बड़े लोग बड़ी बातें, बड़े लोगों की बड़ी बातें होती हैं. Now please remember that US is a $30 trillion GDP country. उसका debt $37 trillion होगा. Yes, it is high, but it is manageable. It is the most innovative country. It's the most blessed country. No neighbor can attack US. It's protected. It is endowed in terms of natural resources. And the best part about US is that it still attracts the best talent of the world. The best of the Indian brains are found in US. The best of the African brains are found in US. The best of the European brains are found in US. As long as it attracts talent, it will find a way. Has US gone to this level of debt? Not except during World War I and II. So debt is high, but with their innovation, their size, will they be able to come out of it? My answer is yes, they'll find a way.
Right. Okay.
As I think Winston Churchill mentioned that America always finds the right way after exploring all the wrong way.
That's a very good saying. I remember that. Yeah. Other than India and US, is there any other global market that you think is quite attractive for the long term?
So undoubtedly, China is one market which we have to keep a watch. They have been tremendously fast-growing economy, very innovative. Today, they are way ahead in technology in many areas.
Right.
So certainly, China is one market which one should keep a watch. But more importantly, when you are investing abroad, it's better to go into a diversified fund across emerging markets, across technology sector,
Right.
across frontier markets. They all carry different risk and different return. But if your call comes right, allocation is right, you can make money.
Right. Okay. So let's come back to Indian market now. And I'm just speaking from a mutual fund investor's perspective. If I come to you and I say, I'm a beginner, Nilesh ji, I have, let us assume 10 lakh rupees. It's my hard-earned money. And I want to see this blossoming over next 15 years because I want to be party to the India's economy. And therefore, please suggest some strategy, mutual fund strategy. Which type of mutual fund should I target? Because right now there are like so many mutual fund categories. It's even becoming more complicated than picking a stock, if I'm being very honest. What would you say to that investor that for long term, and if I'm not getting down the train as you initially said, what would you say should be the mutual fund strategy?
So, Rahul bhai, there's no one size that fits everyone.
Sure.
Tundar matir bhinna.
Tundar mati bhinna.
Matir bhinna. Different pots are different mindset. Now, if you come to me, I'll say that you put 10 lakh rupee in multi-asset allocation fund. It's a fund where India's best fund managers provide you asset allocation service between debt, equity and precious metal. Normally, private bankers give this service to the rich clientele.
Right.
आपको तो फंड मैनेजर ये सर्विस 2000 रुपए के लिए भी दे रहा है. The second and more important conversation I will have that Rahul भाई ये 10 लाख तो आप आज इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, बट आने वाले 15 साल में you are going to earn money. So please ensure that income minus expenses equal to savings वो equation आप मत follow करो. You follow income minus savings equal to expenses. Please inculcate the habit of savings. Do regular investment of that also. And then little drops of water make an ocean. You will see the multiplication. Third, I may even suggest Rahul bhai, look, I won't have time for you. And looking at your age and your potential, I think you need services of a financial expert.
Right.
I will recommend you to a mutual fund distributor who can sit with you, understand your risk profile. My litmus test, Rahul bhai, is very simple. If in COVID time you bought, you are risk taker.
Right.
If in COVID time you sold, you are conservative. If in COVID time you didn't do anything and allowed your existing thing to continue, you are average risk taker. Don't cheat yourself.
Right.
एक मिर्जा गालिब का शेर है, उम्र भर भूल यही करता रहा, धूल चेहरे पे थी, आईना साफ करता रहा.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
People who were conservative, when the past 6 months returns are good, they suddenly become risk taker. भाई अगर आप राहुल द्रविड़ है तो राहुल द्रविड़ की तरह खेलिए, वीरेंद्र सहवाग बनने की कोशिश मत करिए.
Sir, एक reason, the one major change I see right now is that there is so much content on social media which is telling people a lot of things.
Yes.
And what happens is, as humans, we like good news, we like to ride the rally, we like to, make money, quick money. And that's a very, very, very nature of a human, right? And controlling that emotion is extremely difficult. And maybe once we fall down and we see that, oh, we made a mistake because we listened to so and so, and maybe he or she made good money, but it's not for everybody. And the moment that realization happens, we pull ourselves back and say that potentially it's not a game for us. So,
but Rahul, why don't we learn from others' experience? The story which you have told me is true, but it keeps on repeating again and again. Let's start with the basic fact. Other than your parents, no one else is interested in your well-being, especially financial well-being.
Agreed.
Buyer beware. That's the cardinal rule in any market, and financial markets are no different.
Right.
For example, I do show like this. Am I really interested in the well-being of your listeners? Answer is no. I'm here to sell mutual fund industry. I want your listeners to invest into mutual funds. That's why I'm doing the show.
Right.
So you have to discount me.
And in that case, we go by the data and facts.
Absolutely.
Rather than listening to somebody's opinion. And I think that resonates very well with me, because Nilesh ji, I don't know whether you've ever seen my videos. I wouldn't expect you to.
Yeah.
But I've done 300 plus videos on my channel. And you won't believe, every single video, every word I speak, 90% times, 98% times, 95% times, I try to bring the data, because I know you can't argue with data.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'll make things up and it's of no use to you because you cannot validate it. At least when I say data, you would go and do some research.
So, Rahul, my request will be at least accept things by passing the smell test. See, in my early days of career, I used to see people walking in sleeper and saying that I want to put 500 crore in market, 1000 crore in market. भाई तू चप्पल पहन के आ रहा है, स्लीपर पहन के आ रहा है, तेरे पास 500 करोड़ किधर से हो सकता है? I don't know what was their motivation. There are people whom, by listening to, by watching them, you'll be able to figure out that these guys are not telling truth.
Right.
If I try to missell something to your listeners, they'll figure out. Anything which doesn't pass your smell test, please don't invest. Anything which you don't understand, please ask more questions. Don't invest till such time you are convinced. In fact, Warren Buffett give this advice when you invest in a stock, but that's applicable to any other instrument. On a piece of paper, write down why have you invested in that instrument. 5-10 line likh do. When you have to speak for 1 hour, you can speak extempore. When you have to speak for 5 minutes, you have to prepare for 1 hour.
Right.
तो जब आप वो 5 पॉइंट लिखेंगे, why did I invest in this fund, this instrument, this stock, it will help you avoid mistakes.
Right. That is brutally honest. So thank you for that. I want to come back to mutual fund selections. There is a lot of confusion. At least I find it quite confusing, mainly because if you look at the past returns, every year the winners keep changing. Expense ratio fluctuates almost every single year. So if you've chosen a mutual fund today on the basis of expense ratio, tomorrow there is no guarantee. What do you look in mutual funds when you compare? What are the parameters that you would say that, these are the 2 or 3 top things that you need to look at?
So if you are a selector of Indian cricket team, will you select 11 Sachin Tendulkars to go out and play?
No, absolutely not.
No.
There has to be a team composition.
Will you take 11 Jasprit Bumrah to play?
Absolutely
No.
not.
And even if you had a choice of getting 11 Sachin Tendulkar, do you think they'll be able to win every match?
No.
Answer is no, because a team wins the match. Good bowlers, good batsmen, good fielder, good wicket keeper, a good captain, a good coach. So many things go behind that portfolio which go and win the match. Now, when you are building mutual fund portfolio, do you want to invest in the best performing stocks, best performing funds? Everyone wishes that, but is that possible? It effectively means that Tendulkar will keep on scoring century after century in every match. Even for him, it was not possible. How can a fund manager do that? So essentially, you benchmark yourself with your objectives and see how the fund is performing vis-a-vis benchmark index. Some may outperform by big margin, some may outperform by small margin. Someone may take higher risk, someone may take lower risk. You need wicketkeeper, you need bowler, you need batsman, you need fielder, you need captain. So create a portfolio. As long as it beats inflation, as long as it gives real return, your job is done.
Right.
ये ख्वाहिश में मत रहिए कि जो सबसे बेस्ट परफॉर्मिंग फंड है मैं उसी में इन्वेस्ट करूं. Well, that doesn't work.
Right. Sir, even if I look at consistent rolling returns, if I say last 5 years, I don't know, mid cap or small cap, give me the top 3 performing funds. And that consistency is giving me some indication that the mutual fund house or the fund manager somehow has got something right. We don't know what that may be from an outside looking inside, but there definitely something that is telling us that consistently, if you look at the rolling returns, somebody has done better than the benchmark and other peers as well. Would that not be a good place to look at mutual funds?
So undoubtedly, instead of looking at just point-to-point return, rolling return is a better bet. But at the end of the day, Rahul bhai, वो roller coaster में आप बैठो ना तो average incline decline X आती है. But at a point, incline could be far higher, decline could be far lower.
Right.
It is up to you how you withstand the roller coaster journey.
Right.
If you get in between, if you get out in between, you are bound to get hurt.
That's really good. Thank you for that. Nilesh bhai, I've heard a lot about your interviews, listened to the talks that you've delivered, and have been thoroughly impressed. One of the consistent theme that I could observe from your talks is the asset allocation. Multiple times you have reiterated that, especially when the markets fall, you say we have to go back to basics and remember the mool mantra, which is the asset allocation. Can you just give us a view and break it down in a simple language so that we understand what you mean by that?
So we all practice asset allocation in our food habit for our physical health. Everyone likes sweets, but people don't only eat sweets.
Correct.
And especially when you have diabetes, you simply avoid them. Everyone likes farsan, like samosa and kachori. But you just don't stuff yourself with that. We all create a well-balanced diet of roti,
Chawal,
sabji,
dal.
chawal, dal, some sweet, some salad. That creates the asset allocation for our body and the mind,
Right.
where we get taste and we also get nutrition. The same thing is true in financial health. You don't put everything in equity because it has delivered the best return. You put something in debt, something in equity, something in gold, something in real estate, so that you have asset allocation, which will suit your risk profile, which will meet your investment objective.
Right.
Now, there are investors who put 100% in equity. I also believe I can go and hook a ball like Tendulkar.
Mhm.
बट मुझे तो पता है कि वो खाली बिलीफ ही है, खाली ख्वाहिश है.
Mhm.
मैं अगर जाके ब्रेट ली के सामने खड़ा रहूंगा तो उसको बॉल डालने की जरूरत नहीं, मैं उससे पहले ही भाग जाऊंगा.
Right, right, right.
So don't try to mimic someone who has higher risk-taking ability. Please follow your dharma of asset allocation based on your investment objective and risk-return profile. And अगर कुछ समझ में नहीं आए तो just go and invest in multi-asset allocation fund. Give the time to the fund manager to manage asset allocation for you.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for that. In the interest of time, I'm just going to move to last section that I generally do with my guests, which is the rapid fire. I ask you a question, give you two answers, and you choose one out of it, right? So, India or US market, which is a better long-term play from here on?
सारे जहां से
अच्छा, हिंदुस्तान
हमारा.
Momentum or value investing, which suits you the most personally?
Value
Value
investing.
investing.
But that doesn't mean that momentum investing is bad.
No,
it's
of course.
just that I don't know how to play it.
Sure. When it comes to stock picking, would you trust the data or your instinct or your gut feeling?
You combine both. Look at the data, but don't ignore your gut.
Right.
The smell test has to be
There.
passed.
A lot of people do trading using leverage nowadays. Do you think trading using leverage is good or bad? I mean, is there any view?
Leverage is a double-edged sword. For ordinary investors, ordinary speculators, traders, I will say leverage is injurious to your financial health.
Brilliant. If you were to say to people in their 20s, work for money or work for your passion, because 20s is the age where you are also looking for money, right? You've not earned enough, and also at the same time you're very passionate about something. So would you say work for money, work for passion?
Always work for passion, but keep money also as part of your passion. There's one interesting quote: money is not everything in life, money doesn't matter, but make sure that you have made enough money before you make such
say all these
statements.
things. Yeah. In your view, early retirement or never retire?
Never retire.
Are leaders born or leaders made?
Tough question. I was not a born leader. I was made leader.
I was about to ask you, do you consider yourself a made leader?
No. I was a leader who was made by circumstances and superiors.
Right. Bitcoin, do you think it's hyped or do you think it could be a future currency for the world?
I'm not an expert over there. In some sense, Bitcoin is greater fool theory because you will buy only if you believe someone else is going to buy from you at a higher price. Or maybe for someone who is supporter of Bitcoin, they'll say it's freedom from excessive monetary printing. I think the verdict is too early to give anything.
Ambani's or Adani's, who do you like? Whose leadership styles do you like at the minute?
When both of them are excellent in various respects, but what combines them is not just the alphabet of surname, it's the passion for execution. What they have executed is truly remarkable.
Last one, 2047, India can be a developed country. Do you think, are we doing enough to get there, or do you think we should be doing more?
Ye dil mange more. But if Viksit Bharat is responsibility only of our Honorable Prime Minister, then it will be difficult to achieve. The day Viksit Bharat becomes dream of 144 crore Indians and we all work together to achieve it, I think it will happen much earlier than 2047.
On that positive note, I think I've thoroughly enjoyed this very short conversation with Nilesh ji. I hope you all found it very, very insightful. And if you did found it insightful, like this podcast, I hope to see you in my next one. Until then, keep rocking.